2 years ago, me and Nadiana didn't know how to sail, but we learnt absolutely loads from taking an old boat in the UK and sailing it down to the Med through the French canals. We sold that boat to get something a little bit more roomy, something more permanent for us, when we stumbled upon this old Catamaran, which is a 35-foot Cherokee made by Sailcraft. So far we've overhauled the fuel system, we've also overhauled the engine too. We repaired bulkheads, we created a nice living space with a galley and somewhere to live while we refit. We also got rid of some terrible blue stripes. And Nadiana mostly refitted and refurbished every single window which was leaking on this boat. And lots more. Last week we were completely refurbishing the skegs and the rudders, which were in an absolute terrible state. And well, that's where today's video starts. So Victor's left. It's just me, Nadiana and the mosquitoes now. And I have to finish off the rudders. So the main body is all good, but I have to put fibre over these corners. And Victor will not be happy with the way that I'm doing it, because I'm going to use biax, and he would prefer that I do it in small segments, but actually with this biax it follows the contours of the corners really well. So I'm just going to do 2 layers of this, and yeah, hopefully it will be okay. The skegs also need a lot of work. They need grinding, and here it's going to need to be filled here because they're just impossible to get the sheet around this very tight angle. But I'm hoping with 2 days solid work we can get these skegs and rudders ticked off. I'll be so happy when that's done. Still a lot to do, a lot of sanding, I need to epoxy coat them as well, paint them. Oh, so much to do and so little time. Okay, let's go. So actually they've not turned out too badly. Very few air bubbles, and I think it's good. I'm happy. Now I still need to do the little corners, triangles, and a little bit around the rudder shaft, which is a little bit messy. We need to clean up this area a little bit more, but it's looking all good. Looking very good. Okay, that's the corners savagely done. One hour later and we have a skeg which is kind of sanded. Still a lot of tidying up to do before we start painting. And that's only one. We still have the other one, Mr. Port Skeg. Hopefully tomorrow, if I can find more roller sanding paper, I can get all these 2 sanded and everything sanded, ready for painting. I think after skegs then I'm going to focus on the rudder, which is cracked. Much the same process but without fiberglass basically. It's going to be filled and primed and painted. Also the joint between the keel and the hull is in not too great condition. So I'm just gonna pick all that out and put a big fat blob of Sikaflex there. Last night I set up a little nav station, radar and VHF, which it looks kind of funny because it looks so homely Doesn't look very boatly. Then you have these out of nowhere. Okay, it's all good, apart from one big bubble which I couldn't get, so I've grinded it out. I'm gonna have to put yet another 2 pieces of fiber on here, but then it's pretty much good, apart from the fact that I need to cycle all the way to Port St. Louis to get some sanding paper for this machine, which Victor has lent us. There's really no better way to sand fiberglass than using one of these rolling sanders. The little orbital sanders they're just not strong enough. Just like the engine, just like pretty much every other job, it's taking at least 2 times longer than what we expected.
So this is a special dish from my hometown, Kunming. It's called 凉米线. It's cold rice noodle. It's a bit sour and sweet taste with soy sauce and vinegar and some peanut butter sauce. It's so good. These days we've just been working so much, so I don't even have strength to think about good food after. But I think it's actually quite important.
Ah, what a lovely day to be alive. Waking up. How charming, a nice poo. I have to apologise for the amount of skeg that's been in these videos, but it's going to continue. I'm ready to paint. I've sanded everything. I spent all yesterday sanding. However, there's loads of little tiny holes, little pits from the fiberglass, and it needs to be faired. So I'm going to use this choucroute, it's called in French, and I'm not sure if it's really a good fairing compound, but I'm going to try it on a small area. I need to go and get some more anyway, and I'm going to have to go to the shop. Yesterday I couldn't find any of the belts for that sanding machine, but Uncle Benny came round and gave us this attachment for the grinder, and I've basically been using this, and it's pretty good. Obviously it's a smaller surface area, so it's not as easy to get an accurate finish, but I think it's looking okay, apart from these little pitted holes. Alright, let's give this a try. So there it is, definitely not orthodox, but I need to let this set and I'll sand it down, but I think I'm going to have to go to the shop and find an actual filling compound. Those little holes have been filled in quite nicely actually, but I'll still see if I can find a proper fairing compound, but I'm happy with that. So I managed to get some fairing compound, added it to the polyester. This is before and this is after, and all the flat spots are very smooth now.
As you can see, today I'm working on the doors. I know I should be working on more important job that will lead us to the water. Mark is grinding the rudder, perfecting the rudder and skegs, and he says I can't help. I know, in real, he just don't want me to suffer from the fiberglass grinding dust and the itchiness. Well, working on the door is an important job too, because in Chinese proverbs, it's really just Chinese there is a word called 门面, which means the front of the door, usually used to describe someone's appearance or someone's house. It should be tidy and clean. So that's what I'm trying to do. Also fix these two nasty holes. The skag monk.
So loud. I've faired everything now almost. I've gone back and got through some holes which were remaining. So now this is a dry fit of the shoe. I think it fits, but there's a big, come and have a look. We have like a big hole here which I'm gonna have to fill. It's all sealed up. I think what it is last time, it was repaired with some sort of polystyrene or foam or something, and they just kind of masticed over it. So I guess that's what I'll do with this. The important thing is to get the alignment correct with this and the rudder post.
Okay, got it.
Okay. I'm really happy with the way that it's fared. So smooth. You can see these were holes which are now filled. Things like this. However, up from the rudder, we see evidence of a crash. A crack going into the fiberglass. So I can sort that out pretty quickly now. I'll use epoxy. But basically what I think happened is previous owner smashed into a rock on the keel, that's why that's cracked. This was smashed, and also the rudder looks like it's bent up into the hull and cracked here. So I don't know whether it's crashed onto a shore or whether it was floating debris. We don't know. Did you know? Don't worry. Nice new doorstep though. Okay, we're doweled in. My first time ever using dowels actually.
Oh.
It's quite satisfying.
Does it feel strong?
It feels very strong actually.
Oh,
it's just
nice.
Using dowels to go through plywood is scary because it could very easily separate.
Yeah.
But you need to chop those off, and you need to also sand everything so it's
yeah, I will finish it up. This is my little help from Mark.
Yeah.
I actually saw the wool by myself, but he helped me to drill the holes.
Actually, it's my video editing day, which I usually do on Thursday, the day before the video goes live. If anyone's interested, it usually takes about, for editing, thumbnails and all that good stuff, it takes about 12 hours. That's not including filming, which takes, well, hours and hours and hours, but we quite enjoy it, so it's all good.
It's a bit weird. I need some support on the bottom. Teamwork again.
Any hands make the light work.
Parfait.
Nice.
Parfait. Good job. So I have cleaned the door up, prepared it for painting, and it's perfection time again. We're using the rest of the paint left from painting the windows.
Bit of night work.
Oh.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah. What time is it?
10:30.
Whoa. 4 hours of night work. I didn't think it took that long. And we have some lighting problem. So we will have some surprises tomorrow morning. And I hope it's some good surprise, not bad surprises. Yeah.
One really good thing about this boat is that it has so many things on board, like tools, bolts, which are particularly useful for today because we're going to dry fit the rudders. So we have this big box of old bolts, and these, I'm going to have to engineer these because these will go in the little top shoe of the rudder post, but I need to adapt those. We also have our bolt for the top of the rudder post. But I think it's fair to say that we've saved thousands on materials, stuff that's been left behind, but also stuff that's been given to us since we've been here. Okay, now we put the rudder up into the boat. Nadiana will be the chair mover.
Okay.
We need more wood on the...
Got it.
So I've been a bit lazy, there's still polyester on the shaft here. So I need to take out the rudder to clean it, because it needs to come up about an inch more. We're almost lined up for a good dry fit. We have a problem because the angle is up, it's been cut off at an angle as opposed to the other one, which is basically a level line. So it's very difficult to fit on, isn't it?
Yeah. More sanding. It's another night time now to review the amazing new door. Oh no, the front looks quite in need of a second coat. Or we can go for the barn rusty style. I think the inside look better. What do you guys think? A second coat or barn rusty style?
I'm going to mix up some epoxy and fit it underneath the shoe. You'll see that later. I'm going to do that later when it cools down a little bit because it's very hot and I won't have much working time with the epoxy. Now I'm going to do the crack of this thing. So it's gone through to bare fiberglass here and it's just been painted over. I don't know what was going on, whether they tried to mask it just with some anti-fouling, but I'm going to just sand around the area first and then I will grind this out. I'm a little bit cautious using a grinder on the hole, so I'm going to start first with my fake Dremel tool. Here we go, Mr. Parkside, the little Dremel. In the last episode I scratched my eye and I was actually wearing safety goggles. I think it's just very, very fine pieces of fiberglass which managed to vacuum themselves in somehow, and it was very painful for 2 days, but it's all good. But now for sure I always wear and make sure they're tight around my face. think I might have uncovered something a little bit more. Let's hope this is the last thing that we uncover. So from the big crack, we have these circular cracks coming out, which I believe go through the gel coat. So now I need to think about what sort of repair to do on these. I think you could argue that this is a good argument for getting a surveyor. However, it's like a day, 2 days work, so it's much cheaper than a surveyor. You just need to make sure you find these things. You can see here there was a big repair, and that's where the main crack was, and then these are obviously side cracks. Hence the reason why this keg was broken so badly. It's obviously smashed up into the hull. But one interesting thing, as you can see, we have a ketch rigged catamaran, and the original Sailcraft Cherokees were cut off just basically here. So this bit is extra to the original design, and it was produced in a factory like this. Yeah, so which also means that it's not a Cherokee 35, it's a Cherokee, what, 38, 37. Too slow. It's funny how small jobs turn into finding old problems. So I'm just going to get started on these bits. I'm going to put a bit of extra fibre over this, and then for these hairline cracks, I need to think about that. It feels like a while since I've used epoxy after becoming a polyester convert. I don't know too much about the differences between polyester and epoxy. All I know is polyester is much cheaper and apparently epoxy is better. However, when working in large quantities, I think it makes sense to use polyester. We are going to properly shield the polyester as well from moisture. But from what I know, if you're just doing it on a little local area like we're doing with this little hull fix, it's probably better to use epoxy. So to mix up epoxy, which is a lot more difficult than polyester, I really love the simplicity of polyester. Just a little cap of catalyst, stir, and you're done. With this you need to be quite accurate. A lot of people suggest to actually weigh the epoxy rather than do it by eye using these little cups like I'm going to do. I only need a tiny quantity. I've cut up some fibre. I'm going to put that over the exposed fiberglass on the hull, and then I'll sand it down and then add some gel coat later. Wow, I should be wearing gloves. So silly. So we're sizing up our boat name sticker place.
That much.
It's so thin.
I know.
It's quite long actually.
Yeah.
But it's good, it's big.
Only this big.
Ah yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good work is good preparation. Dr. Mark on the front line.
Alright, so I'm going to mix up epoxy, I'm going to use filleting blend, and I'm going to fill the gaps in between the shoe and the skeg, and then get a screw in there, and hopefully it will be aligned perfectly. But fingers crossed. I leveled the table with the level.
Oh really?
So that we know we're getting an accurate measurement.
Wow, nice job.
Okay, so we go 2 to 1, 3. Whoops.
Always close your epoxy after use.
Not much left now, maybe 1.5 litres.
Only?
Yeah. So epoxy is €20 per kilo, basically. Resin being €6. Looks perfect, hopefully. I don't know if I have enough. We need some peanut butter.
I'm hungry again.
Not quite peanut butter. It needs to stick on a vertical surface.
Check out the thin rudder.
It's all gonna get smushed out probably.
This side looks nice and tidy already. What's the conclusion of the job, boss?
Good. I hope it's good.
Nice.
I think so.
Good. Peanut butter screw number 2. Lunchtime and integration of the East and the West when two culture clashes. A little bit of lemon juice is never a bad idea. Et voila! Summertime quick lunch. So, what's your opinion of the East meet the West?
Wow. It's good. It looks posh.
Looks posh.
Well,
Well, all of it probably costs less than €5.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it looks good. So while the various epoxy jobs fully cure, I'm gonna create a tool to get rid of the rubbish sealant between the keel and the hull. It's just an exterior layer of Sikaflex, but it's a very difficult angle. I got this idea from the master of Skegs. So here's the new tool, and it's very, very sharp. Nice. I mean, it's basically just a knife. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you for getting to this point in the video. It means that we've not bored you too much. We hope you enjoyed it anyway, and if you did, please give us a like. It would be massively appreciated, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Next week, more big jobs, hopefully, to get ticked off. We are hoping to go in the water very, very soon. I know we always say this, and it always gets delayed by another month, but I think we're, not quite, but almost getting there. It's blowing quite a lot outside. Thank you so much to you guys who've been to our PayPal and coffee as well. You're just so kind. Thank you so much. It helps us to put a little bit more money into the boat and make it look even better and ready for splash. So, See you next week, and until then, stay safe.